Yes, welcome back. The drivers have given their view on the new points-based system introduced by the WRC for the ongoing Safari Rally Kenya. Points-based system for today and tomorrow. I got the vibe, Kego, welcome back, that the drivers were not generally that enthusiastic about the points-based system that's been introduced by the WRC that we had discussed earlier just before our break to allow Topi Liambila and Daudi Kanja their fair chance. You explained what it is in nitty-gritty detail. Yeah. Why don't you think the drivers have sort of warmed up to it, or are they just very focused on the big prize, what brought them here in the first place?
You know, the point system requires you as a crew to start sort of changing your goals within the event. You know, I think a lot of drivers just want to come and, you know, drive to the best of your ability and take whatever you get home. But now if you have, goal number one doesn't work, it now brings in the aspect where you can think, okay, Saturday let's do this. You know, it's too much planning, it's too much figuring out. And the other thing I think probably is the bigger thing that they are unhappy about is that, you know, if you don't do too well on Friday, you can also do very well on Saturday. For example, guys doing Super Rally, which is it really fair? For example, if I've rallied all the way Friday and Saturday, and maybe I get a problem on the last stage of Saturday, and you who retired on Friday came back on Super Rally and does very well on Saturday, you probably end up scoring more points than me. So there's an element of, does it make it fair? Does it make it, is it unleveling the playing field? But, you know, the FIA have done their calculations, they know what they want, and so the drivers just have to rally according to the rules that apply.
Okay. Fair. Let's see how this pans out. Yeah. Because as you've rightly put it, there are those who may not welcome it with enthusiasm, but depending on proceedings, yeah, they may hack back to it and say, wow, this thing is a game changer. It's given me a lifeline. Yeah. So, yeah.
But then the issue I would have with that also is that it starts to take away from the pure enjoyment or the pure sort of competition of rallying. It's not about tactical speed. It starts becoming calculation. You know, if I go slowly on this day, then I can go fast on this day. You know, then it becomes another whole game.
It takes away more than it gives.
Exactly.
I
think that the less we fiddle with what has been working, because rallying has worked for how many years? The less we fiddle with that timing system and that pointing system, I think the better for the sport. But I mean, change is inevitable. Maybe they're trying to see what will happen. And I think I kind of agree with the drivers that, you know, let's keep it simple. I finish on day 4 and I collect this number of points. You know, we already have points for the power stage, which are, again, added points for the last day. So, you know, having Saturday points, Friday points, I don't know whether we are taking away from the pure sort of aspect of rallying. But, again, I'm not in charge of the rules. Maybe they know more than I know.
So have they used this sort of thing before in
This is the first year they're trying this Saturday and other day points.
So they used it in Monte Carlo,
yeah.
They used it in Sweden, and now they're using it in Kenya.
Exactly. Wow. They can't change a system like that in the middle of the calendar. They have to start it on the first event, and they can't also remove it. So this point system is going to be with the drivers until
all the way to
end
November.
Of the, and then I guess again at that time there'll be a debate as to whether they continue with it or they don't.
Yes, because the rally calendar series runs all the way to November, and then December the drivers get a brief break for Christmas, and then back to business in January.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about the last stage of the morning session.
Yeah. Again, another change. Thierry Neuville, who you remember by yesterday I think was line 6th, is now in 2nd. He's a minute and a half behind Calais. It's still a long time.
My goodness, that's a day and a half, isn't it?
But now, you know, he has progressed from 5th up to 2nd.
Yes, for him it's wonderful.
So he's on an up trajectory. So what does Calais then do? Because Calais can't then keep waiting. You know, he can't play that waiting game. He has to up his pace slightly, because otherwise, a minute and a half, you need to just overshoot one corner, get stuck on one rock, or, you know, spin out on one paddle, lose traction, even, you know, I mean, it goes by in quite a lot, in quite a hurry. It's not a lot, it's not a long time.
Even a puncture.
Exactly. A puncture, you have lost, even the fastest crews change punctures in about 4 minutes. So you have one puncher, lead gone.
And I saw Noville yesterday. It's like he was sorting out his own puncher issue with his driver.
Exactly. Noville had a lot of problems.
They
yesterday.
don't have chase cars anymore.
No. There's a rule. That's why we have. That's why. If you get assistance from a third party, which is not you or the navigator,
your navigator,
outside the service park, that is grounds for instant disqualification.
But what do you do in a situation like our very own Nikhil Sashania, whom we know is paraplegic? So he can't come out of the vehicle on his own to start changing his tire.
Maybe for Nikhil there is a dispensation that I'm not aware of. But the rule is all service where third parties touch your car, unless of course it's something like where you're stuck in a ditch and there are people pushing. And even that one is debatable. There are times when people have actually applied for others to be disqualified based on that. The rule is that your car is handled by others apart from the navigator and the driver within the service park and within the service bay, not just in the service park. You have to get into the service park and then drive to your service bay where your crew now
They are accredited crew. No one can just come
and random. There is time. On a KNRC is 30 minutes. You cannot service that car for 35 minutes without penalty. You'll be penalized for the 5 extra minutes. So it's very controlled. In the old days, of course, you could service anywhere.
Yes.
But today is very controlled. And that was an effort to bring the cost down. Because in the old days, if you had a lot of money, you know, the Audi team very famously used to have helicopters that would follow the cars carrying gearboxes. So that when the gearbox broke, they would land with the mechanics and change the gearbox. But obviously not everybody could afford that. So they decided that service would be in a designated place. And hence also the way the event the event is based around the service park. Because after every set of loops, let's say now you have 3 stages, you start and stop at the service park. You have a 30-minute or 40-minute service, and then you do the other loops, come back to the service. So car cannot be touched outside the service park by anybody else.
Amazing stuff, because I'm actually on the WRC Facebook page, but it's not the main Facebook site for WRC.
Yeah.
But on Facebook, but it's similar to what you've just said there, that the dynamic, let me quote them, the dynamic had flipped by the time the crews returned for lunchtime service in Naivasha after Evans punctured in Soisambu and Sleeping Warrior.
Yeah.
So Evans punctured.
Oh, also in Sleeping Warrior.
Also in Sleeping Warrior.
Explains the loss of time, yeah.
Sleeping Warrior, won.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Katsuta faced similar troubles.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So remember, at the start of the day, Katsuta was second placed.
Yeah.
He had a puncture.
Yeah.
So he lost out on time.
Yeah, 3-4 minutes.
And he went lower, the leaderboard.
Yeah. And Neuville had a trouble-free run, I guess.
Neuville had a trouble-free run and this morning, so obviously he went up the leaderboard to second place. Now the pair, that is Katsuta and Evans, they slipped to 5th and 3rd, respectively.
Yeah.
So Katsuta, 3rd place, Evans, 5th.
Yeah.
Because of 2 punctures.
And Adrian Fomo is now in 4th, yeah.
Now, Adrian Fomo is now in 4th on driving his Ford vehicle.
And if
now elevating Hyundai's Thierry Neuville to 2nd overall. So there's a good mix. Toyota,
Ford,
Hyundai, Ford.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
The competition
exactly.
is swung wide open.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's better when you see all those makes. As opposed to, again, I'm a Toyota fan, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4 Toyotas, it's good to see the other makes also.
You had a premonition of this kind of.
Well, you know, Toyota has been here for a long time.
Yes.
They know what it takes.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to see that they get a run for their money from the other teams. Ford, especially with Adrian Fomo, is doing very well. We wish them all the best of luck. Their second driver, Gus Gregoire. Gregoire is first time in a WRC1 car. And he was even asked before the beginning of the rally what was his plan, and he said to finish, which is very clever. That is a young man with the right head on his shoulders. He knows, Safari, come and finish, because your first year you're here to learn. Although he was here last year in a WRC2 car, but the first time in WRC1 car, if you're looking to finish, kudos to you, man. You know, that's a good feather in your cap. Because he's young, he knows he's got his whole life ahead of him.
Yeah, and I'll continue reading. Unfazed out front, and with his lead stretched at to 1 minute, 27.9 seconds. Kala Rovanpera sits ahead of Thierry Neuville, who's second placed, a full 1.27 minutes ahead of him.
Yeah, but remember, a puncher will cost you about, if you're very fast, 3.5, 4 minutes.
Okay.
So,
goodness.
You know,
so it's still,
Neuville is within a puncher for Rovanpera to overtake him. So it's still tight.
So it sounds as though you'd written this, because it's pretty much what you had said two or so minutes ago. It says Rovanpera considered that striking a safe balance between speed and caution is not an easy task.
Yeah, it isn't. When it's working, you want to go flat out. But you know, you go flat out, you're likely to get a puncher, at the very least. You could have more bigger problems, but a puncher at the very least, and a puncher will cost you 3 minutes. You've got 1.3 minutes behind you, Neuville breathing down your neck. You have to think about it.
So Rovanpera goes on to say, and now this is me quoting him, it's not easy with a big gap, he revealed. Yeah, you don't want to be too fast or too slow, and that's him. Now, it pretty much sums up what you've actually said about you have the advantage of leading with what looks like a big gap, almost an unassailable lead, but it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's actually.
I think
it's just not.
Yeah, this second loop will be key to the winner of this event. Haven't had anything about rain, which is disappointing. I would have liked it to rain, and rain very hard, which would have thrown a nice spanner into the works. But the stages are still the same. They are probably getting more rutted, probably a bit slightly more different to what they were in the morning. But whoever makes it out unscathed at the end of today has a good chance of doing well from tomorrow. But tomorrow's stages are also not to be ignored. It's a tough 6-stage day also, and so you know the crews still have a long safari to go. But definitely, if I was Neuville, definitely what he's doing is he's going to do maybe the waiting game. A little bit of pressure, apply the pressure here and there where you can. And you know, pressure, obviously, the teams get the information directly from their teams as to what the guys behind them are doing. So you can imagine after Soisambu, if Kale is told that, you know, Neuville has chopped your lead down to 1 minute, or let's say 58 seconds, then it's on Kale's, the ball is in his court to try and drive that much more faster to open the gap again. So Neuville has to figure out how to put pressure on him. But Kale is proving to be a very cool customer, very, very, very calm, cool, collected. He knows what to do, how to go faster when he's required. So it's like a game of chess they're going to play this afternoon.
So you see third place, Katsuta, who started the day on a better position of second, is now a full 55 seconds behind Neuville. Yeah,
that's down to a puncher. And so, again, also 55 seconds is not far. Although Neuville traditionally has been faster than Takamoto.
Yes.
But this again is a safari, eh? All the cards are off the table, and like I say, the end of today's second loop is going to tell us a lot about the end of the rally.
Fourth placed is Adrian Fomo,
doing very well.
27.7 seconds behind third placed Katsuta.
Young man just back in WRC1 again. 2 years ago he drove for Ford also. I think he won his first stage here in Kenya also, first stage ever. He was quite happy about that. In fact, after the safari, he was wearing our traditional Kenya band, and so he was happy to have come and done so well in Kenya. He's actually the #1 driver for Ford right now. He's doing very well. And, you know, Ford also has a pedigree here in Kenya. They've been in safari for many years. And so Adrian is doing very well. We wish him all the best. But I think also he has a more sort of measured approach to this event. I'm sure he knows, maybe on a good day he can challenge the top boys. But on safari, I know he knows that bringing the car home is going to carry a lot of weight. with the team, and to his experience also. So I think that's what Adrian is doing. But even with that kind of thinking, he's actually doing some very good times.
Okay.
And more importantly, keeping it very clean, not having a lot of problems.
So you told us Greensmith is not feeling too well, but he's actually kept his stronghold on the WRC2 category, and he's doing pretty well. He's ahead of Oliver Solberg, Solberg rather, and the rest of the WRC2 drivers.
Gus Greensmith.
How is he pulling it off, man?
Gus Greensmith is experienced in the sense that he drove WRC1 cars last year. So he's driving a car. He's used to driving more powerful cars. So he's obviously driving this car slightly better than the guys who have only been in WRC2. Oliver Solberg, of course, has also been in WRC1. So I think the real main competition was between those two. Those are the guys who are experienced. They've driven WRC1 cars, but they also got the long game they're looking at. They want to win the championship. As earlier reported, Gus was feeling a bit under the weather, so kudos to him for driving so well, even despite the circumstances. And yeah, it's another full day of rallying. We're almost halfway through. Let's see what happens by the end of today.
Solberg is really a good driver. Oliver Solberg, really a good driver.
Solberg is a good driver.
Attention may be divided between WRC1 for rally enthusiasts and WRC2.
In fact, if you see the chatter online, WRC2 is actually a more sort of contested championship because there are many more people in it, many more people who can win it, and many more people who are consistently in it. WRC1, you know, is like a closed club.
It's an exclusive club, yes.
Yeah.
So how many in WRC2?
WRC2 entries from the teams are, I think, about, because they have a full entry they do for the whole year. They are about, although WRC2 also don't enter all events. WRC2, you score from 7 events. So even as much as you might find there are about 30 entries in WRC2, they choose which countries to go to. The countries they know that they are going to score the best.
Okay.
Now, a guy like Katanovic loves Kenya. He won here last year, so he came here. He opted to come here. So did Gus. So entries globally for WRC2 are very many, but they are going to do selected events. And at the end of the year, you'll see who will win. For example, a lot of the guys who did Sweden didn't come here. And for obvious reasons, if they've not been to Safari, you don't want to go to Safari as a newcomer if you're planning to collect points for the end of the championship. So it's a good competition. Oliver Solberg also has driven WRC1 cars.
Yes.
And I want to mention that he also comes from a rallying family. His father, Peter Solberg, drove...
Who you've met?
Who I met, actually. I did a
photo.
I selfied with him at the service park last year. Peter, I remember him driving in the 555 Subaru Legacy, Subaru Impreza. Same team with Colin McRae, same team with Tommy Makinen. So the fact that his son does rallying also is just, you know, part of that transition we were talking about. I think Oliver is still a young man, still has a bit of learning to go. He's definitely got the pace, but you know, pace is nothing without control. You need to be able to take it to the end.
Kajetanovic is now 4th WRC2. He began the day on 2nd place. He won it last year, as you said. What's not happening?
I think he realizes this is it's a marathon. It's not. You don't go to the front of the field at the start. Let the guys in front who are running. You know, when you're in front, you don't have a target.
Yes.
You're setting the pace, and you might set the pace too high for yourself even, which means you brake, you puncture. The guys behind are following you.
Yes.
And I think Kajetan learned that Safari is not a sprint.
Yes.
It's a marathon game, and he's still in there. And I saw him yesterday in Kedong. His car looks good. He's driving well. And he's still motoring. The
drivers are enjoying their lunch now.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think that's like? You go the full course, 3-meal course or whatever. What's it like?
Definitely not. You don't want to be full.
Yes.
In a bouncy car. You could react badly.
Oh God.
Personally, me and Leo would eat some fruits, lots of liquids, lots of water.
Lots of liquids.
Yeah. Lots
now
of
what
liquids.
happens when you need to use?
Well,
the
you just before the stage starts, you do your thing.
Oh,
and,
okay.
A lot of the time, what we do, we mix the liquid with rehydration salts, which means you can drink a little bottle, maybe 300 ml, with rehydration salts in it, so that you don't have to drink 1 liter of water. Same effect. You know what I mean? You know what they give, kids who are dehydrated. Put that in a bottle of water, and you could survive on that for a stage or two, or even a loop. So there are some tricks we use here to deal with that very problem.
So it's a light lunch, And
fruit salad, maybe a sandwich, rest, try and lie down, try and relax, and yeah, plan for the next loop. But also depends on how things have gone. If things have gone badly, you're going to be very stressed and probably working in the mechanics to see what can be done. But if you've had a good run...
And after every stage, what do you have a snack?
No, usually water. In between the stages is quite short.
Yes.
It's you finish one stage and you go to the next. It's the transport time they give you, you barely have time to come out of the car and take your helmet off. So
and maybe you have to do a quick interview at times.
A lot of drivers don't like to be interviewed in between the stages.
But we're seeing that happen.
Yeah, it does. But you can see it breaks your rhythm. You want to think about the rally. You'd rather talk at the end of the day, or the end of the
Like we saw Katsuta this morning when he was talking about how dangerous Sleeping Warrior is.
Yeah.
That was in between.
Yeah, but you can
one
see
stage and another.
But you saw there was not a lot of discussion.
Yes.
He would be asked a long question and he would give a one-word reply. Terrible. Yes. He said he was asked about Sleeping Warrior. He said terrible.
Horrible. He said horrible.
He doesn't want to talk too much about it because you're analyzing. Maybe you're discussing with the navigator. Was there an amendment in a note? Go back to page this and that. So it kind of breaks your rhythm to be interviewed right at the end. But I guess for the TV rights and other things, they have to open their window and they have to say something. But I can assure you, it's not enjoyable.
Supper time is when you eat your lion's meal.
Also depending on how you're feeling, depending on how it's gone.
On the day, yes.
Yeah, you can have
breakfast.
A big meal.
Fruits
usually light. Again, fruits. Yeah, you don't want anything oily that might react badly. So fruits. I remember Esapeka saying how you drink porridge in the morning. Yeah, so I guess everybody has their own taste.
Yes.
But you want something light that's not going to give you an upset tummy in the car because you're already going to be jumping around. Yeah.
I remember in a discussion I had with Daudi Kanja, who was doing Magical Kenya a few minutes ago last year. He said that the older you grow in rallying, the more difficult it becomes for you to enjoy the sport. Because you've just talked about having a full belly and how that could react on you when you're going up and down rallying. And he said that when you grow older, the bones, up and down, especially the lower back, becomes an issue.
But I think that is a statement that can apply to any field in life, Unless, of course, that field is for, not prophets, what is the word I'm looking for, old wise men, let's say.
Yes.
Anything else, the older you get, the less flexible you are, the less, able you are. Most sports.
Because I remember back in the day, guys like Bjorn Voldegard they'd have this, I don't know what you call it, it's like a band around their waist.
Yeah, it's a kidney belt. It's to help you not bounce your kidneys around too much. Kidney belt,
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was more common amongst the older drivers, if I'm not wrong.
I guess,
Although Patrick Njiru was a young guy and used to use, I think he used to use
it was safety. It was a safety measure.
Nothing to do with age.
I don't think so. Nothing to do with age. I don't think so. But the young are the fresh ones. Who is the top dog here? Who are we talking? Who is kicking everybody's butt? Scully. Scully is not even 24.
The youngest of them all.
They say your brain stops growing at 25, so he's still not even an adult.
Yes.
But here he is performing at top flight. So most sports are for young people. Most of the top sports are done by young people, especially physical sports. So of course, aging you have to take it with the wisdom that it comes with. And again, we were talking about transition. You have to ensure you have people who you are nurturing to be able to take the mantle when you leave. Maybe it's something that all of us need to learn from. But as you grow older, of course, things become a bit more difficult, especially physical things. Yeah.
Wow, what a rally this promises to be. It was open wide for Toyota to run away with it, today being the most difficult day. But now it's open wide for any vehicle manufacturer to run away with it. You've got Toyota, you've got leading the board, courtesy of Kalle Rovanperä, and then you've got Thierry Neuville breathing right under his neck. And then, of course, you've got Toyota again with Katsuta, but he's followed by Adrian Fourmont, who's on Ford. So I think this is pretty much beginning to shape up into a more competitive, more intriguing, more enthusiastic, generating competition than it was last year when you had Toyota 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. And you could sort of predict and see this is Toyota all the way, because Sebastian Ogier, who won it last year, is not there to defend it this year, was there. Kalarov and Pera was there. I mean, they were just Toyota neck and neck.
Exactly, yeah.
And now it's bang, wide open.
Yeah.
Kego, is this sustainable? Or will things turn again?
Just to go back to the age discussion.
Then you come back to
Yes, let's not negate that we have a 60-year-old man who is currently lying in 8th. Jordin Sediridis is semi-private because he drives a WRC1 car which is prepared by M Sport. He's 60 years old. In fact, he was reminded that last year he had said this is the last year he was going to rally, but he has come to Kenya. So age sometimes is nothing but a number.
Yes.
Now, on the safari, like I keep saying, anything can happen, yeah? Especially if the weather doesn't hold. If it rains, Sleeping Warrior, even if it just rains in Sleeping Warrior in one sector. I don't know that we were here last year with you watching that Saturday afternoon shenanigans. And, you know, some called it unfair because it only rained for some people. I think OJ was fast on the road and he got the rain at the tail end of the stage. Car number 2 caught the rain halfway in the stage. Car number 3, 4 were all in the rain. And, you know, if you saw the interviews at the end of that stage, they were saying this is worse than Sweden. And, you know, Sweden is ice. They said the conditions here are worse than Sweden. I think Noivelle said, you can't describe these conditions. You know, you're going from lots of grip on dust and rocks to skating.
And yet it wasn't the heaviest of downpour.
It wasn't the heaviest of rain. In fact, they were very surprised that once the first couple of cars had passed, first 10, it went back to being dusty. You know? So it's like it forms a layer. It forms a layer maybe 2-3 inches of thick mud, which is the most slippery stuff. You can't even barely walk on it. And that changes everything. If the rain comes in front of Kale, and let's say that rain is at the end of the stage, by kilometer 20, Noivelle would have eaten that 1 minute 30 by that time. So it can flip everything.
And does that mean that when it rains and the grounds are wet, the chances of getting a puncture, are they higher or lower?
Very high. You must remember, you're on the road, which on the side of the road is full of rocks. So you're trying to stay on the road. But how do you stay on a slippery road? You can't stay on this road. You're either off it, you know, and there's a very good footage.
Time for a news feed. Let's go to Naivasha.
Just in, I'll go and jump up and opens long, middle entry, slot 6 by sharp near. Fini et 3, enfin. Open 5 right out, tight jar, middle of a step. Caution, 4 left clip, 3 right posts, 40, 3 right cut of a crest, flat left of a jump 50.
moment I can see what's happened. Where did it happen and how?
12 Ks into the stage. Don't really know how. Obviously, it's very rough in there. We were trying to be smooth and slow, but very difficult to make it through, I guess. Yeah, dim really sure parameter. Of course, canol y stage yn rough iawn wedyn. Yeah, dim yn sioc mawr.
Left sharp, super narrow. Short 60, caution 7 left sharp, caution block, sandy 40. Stop 4 right, right 3 sharp, block very narrow. 30, cut 7 left very narrow, right 20.
Yeah, puncture. That's it. I hit the big one, so it was a big mistake, but it's good.
How tough was that?
Huh?
How tough was it?
It's very lottery, everywhere locked, so yeah, it's fine.
You just come and take a whole lot of time out of everyone.
Yeah, it's situation like that when you can do it just by driving clean. This one is incredibly tricky stage every year. Again, we had some mud and stuff. I felt I took good care of the tires. I was quite sensible, let's say, but pushing hard when I could. Kaikki hyvin joo, että ajettiin nätisti kivipaikat ja sitä ajettiin kovaa kun tarvittiin.
Yeah, challenging. I mean, there's no other word, definitely. I mean, the first two stages were dry, but already very difficult. And a couple of things happened over there. Sleeping Warrior, we knew it would be the deciding stage of the rally, and it probably will hit some of us again this afternoon, hopefully not us, but it's a very challenging and tough stage, and lots of stones everywhere, so anything can happen, but we got through without any major issue. We just had no hybrid for the whole stage. So, not the greatest performance, but still I was happy with my drive.
I've been slow, to be fair, in that stage, but I had no confidence because the walks were everywhere, the grip was really changeable, not really easy, so I just wanted to get through, which we did, so yeah, that was tricky.
You've made the morning loop, though.
Yeah, we made the morning loop, so now we need to have a proper service and then we'll see it this afternoon.
35 heures de relance. Poursuite et gauche 25 cordes à fond. Sur sommet droite 10. Le problème c'est qu'on a pété un quart d'heure et droite 0, gauche ferme 15. 60 mètres.
t'a tapé dessus? Pas vraiment une option sur le circuit.
Just in, I'll go and jump up and opens long, middle entry, slot 6 by sharp there. Alright, gauche 140, fini et 3, enfin fini. Sharp, narrow. And sharp, and left over crest, half brake over it.
Yep, that's a bit of the action that was there earlier in Naivasha, where the FIA World Rally Championship is carrying on Safari Rally Kenya. Keiko, the weather, quite dull this morning. And yes, we had said it would be quite cloudy. And it looks like it's going to be even more cloudy going forward, or the heavens are going to open and it's going to rain. But what happens if that doesn't happen?
Well, even if it doesn't rain, there's still three very tough stages. And, the rain just makes it that much worse. Now, the stage that becomes quite critical when it rains is Sleeping Warrior, which is the last stage. First guy is doing to that last stage at 4 o'clock, if I'm not wrong. And traditionally, this is when the rain has been coming down. It rains in the afternoons. Like I said earlier, I was in Kedong watching the cars yesterday, and it actually started to rain just at about 3:30, 3:34. Although the rain didn't reach many parts of the stage, but there was
it heavy?
Very heavy, very tropical storm. So if that happens within Sleeping Warrior, then it's anybody's bet what happens. It's going to be very tricky. But lots of things happen.
What if it doesn't rain?
If it doesn't rain, then maybe the sequence as it is remains. But remember, Noivelle is also going to put some pressure on Rovanpera. It's still a very tough rally without the rain. The rain is like the joker card. The game is still difficult. You put in the joker, anything can happen. If it rains hard, you might find Takamoto on top. It rains very hard, you might find the Fords on top. So it's a very, everybody is either wishing for rain or wishing for no rain, depending on their positions. Okay. I'm sure Kale doesn't want rain.
What about the silent competition between Karan Patel and Carl Tundo? Because yesterday, at the close of proceedings, Karan Patel sat 14th overall and Carl Tundo was 15th.
Yeah, of course, that is, again, I like to say, that is what we are seeing there is a transition taking place. That is I don't want to call him old, because I think he's younger than me, but that is the more experience.
On average, Tundo is 50.
Yeah, Tundo is 50. So
and Karan is in his 20s.
Karan is a young man. I don't think he's yet 30.
Yes.
And so that is a transition. But of course, on an event like Safari, experience counts a lot. And Carl, I don't know whether there's any Kenyan currently in the event that's more experienced than Carl in the Safari, and particularly in those stages around Soisambu and Naivasha. So watching the two yesterday, it's pretty obvious that Karan was a bit faster. But this could have been down to some trouble that Carl had. We don't know. But definitely a transition taking place. Karan is the current Africa Rally champion. So, you know, it's the way things are supposed to be. I hope Carl is being a gracious elder statesman and handing the mantle over, you know, happily. Of course, he would like to beat the young guy, but let's see. Again, Carl is very experienced. He's driven in all sorts of conditions on these stages. So if it starts to rain, then it's anybody's bet. Could that be his trump card against
You never know.
Karan Patel? You never know. If it rains,
conditions,
then he definitely has more experience than Karan. He's been rallying for a much longer time. And the rain basically just opens up the playing field. If today's your lucky day and it's raining, you end up on top. If it's not your lucky day, you end up wrapped around a tree. So let's see.
Yes, just remember that Karan Patel, last year, he came into the rally as the Kenya National Rally Champion. And at the end of the year, he was able to scoop the topmost award on the continent, became Africa Rally Champion. So he's now here as Africa Rally Champion. Yeah. He's feeling the weight on his shoulders.
Yes.
So does that work for him or work against him? Do you think he's got the sort of mental stamina, given that he's still a young man in his 20s, to cope with this newfound pressure?
Oh, definitely. Karan is, in fact, he's actually a Red Bull competitor.
You know him in person?
Of course I know Karan. I know Karan, and I know Tosif Khan, his navigator, very well. Those are my friends. And Karan is one of the guys I've watched come up, and you know, I always remind him he's one of the nice men of gentlemen of motorsports. And so Karan posts a lot on his social media, and a lot of the stuff he posts.
I follow him on Instagram.
Is exercise, you've seen.
6 in the morning.
Exactly.
He's at the gym 5, 6 in the morning.
So physical fitness, I think he's the top of his game, and I'm sure Tosif does the same. They demand the same high level performance from both of them, and they've been rallying since they were very young men. So they have a team. It's almost like Ott and Martin Yaveyova.
Yes.
They have a working team. They do well together, and I think we'll be hearing the name of Karan and Tosif Khan for quite some time. They are doing well, and I think he'll handle whatever pressure comes. He's been through tough times. There's a year that Karan used to crash quite a lot. And I think every driver has that year.
Problems, yeah.
You're young, you're hot. Yeah, you're young, you're hot. But what is the measure of a champion is be able to pick yourself up from those kind of setbacks and realize, fine, I can't drive beyond this line, but I can surely drive up to this line. And I think Karan has learned where that line of his is, and he's fast, he's quick. He's quick and he's clean. So I think even this year, if he does a full campaign in Kenya National Rally Championship, he'll be a difficult customer to beat.
He's really active on social media.
He's a young man.
Especially on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know about Facebook and all, but Instagram, his feed is just always pop. You know, and he starts his day early with the gym, as you said.
You know, like we were saying earlier, sisi ni watu wa VOK. Also, you know, our social media was VOK.
That's what I was saying yesterday.
Yeah. These young people, they communicate on all sorts of channels. So of course, the younger they are, the more they are on social media.
Yeah.
But that's the way he communicates with his, with his constituency, his fans.
Yes. And who's that baby he's always playing around with?
I think it's his kid, I'm not sure.
No, he's an African child.
We'd have to ask him.
Okay. He's made that kid famous from a very early age.
Yeah, we'd have to ask him who that was. But
the little baby's a celebrity.
Yeah, he's a good man. He's a gentleman, genuinely humble guy. He realizes what he has on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He's aware of the sacrifices especially his father has made. So humility in a young rally driver is not a very common thing, but it's a very good thing. It bodes you well.
You say a lot of rally drivers, especially the young ones, egoistic?
Of course, when you are young, you have been given a powerful machine, you are driving well, there are fans cheering for you. It can go to your head. So it's good to be grounded. It's good to understand, and especially a rally car. It's important to be humble. so that you realize your limits. You know, when you're full of yourself and you think, you know, the world is at your feet, that's when you make big mistakes. That's when you do things that you shouldn't have done. So it's important to be humble, even given those powerful tools that you have. And that bodes well in rally, you know, and Karan has that quality. He knows where to stop, what line not to cross. He's aware of what sacrifices have been made. You know, he's a humble guy, like I say.
So his dad has given him
full
support.
By the time you're a young person, like I told you, rallying in Kenya is a amateur sport. So if you're a young person, it means your family are financing you, and you know, it's not a cheap sport to finance. Yeah. So, but Karan is very aware of it. He's lucky he has picked up some sponsorships from like Red Bull. He's actually a Red Bull recognized sports personality from Kenya.
He takes that before hitting the gym.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see that a lot on Instagram.
I think if Karan had a good program and good support in place, the sky would be the limit. Yeah, the sky would be the limit.
He's got that WRC1 potential.
How
many years would you give him to hit those ranks of
Well,
WRC?
you know, WRC, it's not about even the time that you can get there. It's whether the path is there. Yeah?
Okay.
The path is very key. But he's in the right vehicle, he's in the right sport, he's in the right place, and who knows? Who knows?
Wow. I saw him drive himself to Uganda.
Yeah.
That's where he won the African Rally Championship. And it was like a road trip. He gets into his vehicle, his personal vehicle with his co-driver, I believe. And they just drove. And
that's what I'm saying, part of the humility, you know? Other people would fly. Other people would fly. It's not that he can't afford to fly.
Yes.
But that camaraderie that is created in that long drive, that tour in the countryside, that connecting yourself with where you are, that's not a quality a lot of guys have. A lot of guys want to fly there, jump in the car at the last minute, get out of there. But the fact that he's part of the team, he wants to be involved, you know, he wants to, you know, be involved even in the difficult stuff of driving, because I can imagine towing a rally car to Uganda is not an easy job. So that's the stuff that builds character in a young man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isaac Lemoka, our humble guy in Naivasha, what's happening? Let's find out.
So Dakta, asante sana. Tunakujia moja kwa moja kutoka mjini Naivasha ambapo mashindano ya WRC makala ya 72 yanaandaliwa hapa mjini Naivasha. Leo hii ikiwa ni siku ya Saturday, ukipenda siku ya Jumamosi, ni siku ambayo madereva wanakwenda kule Soisambu, watakuwa Sleeping Warrior, alafu wamalizie Elementaita kabla ya vituo vingine ambavyo vitafanyika hiyo kesho huko Malewa, Oserian, halikadhalika Hales Gate. Hapa nimesimama, nipo katika kituo cha stoppage time, na hapa ni mambo machache ambayo yanafanyika. Kumbuka madereva wanapotoka katika vituo kupishana wanafika hapa, kisha baadaye wanaweza kutangamana na mashabiki zao, alafu wanatoa saini ama ukipenda sahihi za kumbukumbu, zile autograph pia zinakuja zinapigwa saini hapa, alafu wanatoka wanaelekea service park kule ambapo magari yao yatafanyiwa uchunguzi, kama yameharibiwa, kama yamefanyiwa nini na nini, yatakuwa yanafanyiwa service park. Lakini pia hapa katika eneo hili ambapo tumesimama katika Buffalo Mall, pia kuna shughuli nyingi ambazo zinaendelea. Kuna kambi ya matibabu ambayo imewekwa hapa, kuna baadhi ya makampuni, kuna baadhi ya mashirika, kuna baadhi ya wizara ambayo yamefika hapa, na moja kati ya wale ambao wamefika hapa, unakumbuka Brand Kenya? Walibadilisha jina, na ninasimama hapa niko naye Joan Wanjala kutokea Brand Kenya. Kama nimekosea utaniambia, sio?
Asante sana. Tunaitwa Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency. We actually formally Brand Kenya board. So we are here because this is a marketing agency for the country. We are here because this is a marketing opportunity for this country. Kenya actually, the reason why we are here on the ground is because we want to market the country holistically through sports. So we want Kenya to be known as a sporting hub in Africa. And we are here to also show the world that Kenya is ready to trade, that Kenya is ready for tourism, that Kenya has also beautiful products like tea and coffee and exports. So the reason why we are here is because we want to stand with our drivers, both international and local. We want them to be our brand ambassadors as Kenya, because this is an opportunity for us to shine to the world.
Mm-hmm. What have you done for the drivers, for them to be your brand ambassadors?
Yeah, so for example, especially for our international participants, so when they come here at the autograph area, we've been giving them an opportunity to even interact with the citizens who are the greatest ambassadors for the country. We've also been giving them a piece of Kenya. That is, we've been giving them some gift packs that contain some tea, some coffee, because we want them, even as they go to their countries, they remember Kenya in a beautiful way, so that they can also be our brand ambassadors for our products, for our key products, that is tea and coffee. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for our local drivers, what is at stake for them?
We have a lot in store for them. Actually, as an agency, we have an ongoing program called the Brand Ambassadors Program. So the reason actually why we want to look at sporting as one of the ways to promote the country is that we want to incorporate all the, like for example, our local drivers. We want them to be a part of our brand ambassadors, so that anytime they're even racing in other countries, they carry the flag Kenya. Mm-hmm. So we want to incorporate them to that ambassadors program that we are running as an agency.
I'll speak to the fans of Rally all over Kenya. They are watching you.
All right, my fans, Kenya. We are happy that we are hosting this rally, this championship. We are happy that it came to Kenya actually, and we want you to make it Kenya. We want you to choose Kenya. We want you to come celebrate with us, especially now that tomorrow is the last day. Let's come and wave our flag high, because this is the opportunity for us to shine as a country.
Sadakta, asante sana. John Wanjala huyo kutokea Brand Kenya. Oh, tena nimeisema. Brand. Lakini hata hivyo asante sana, ni moja kati ya institutions ambazo zinafanya hima na zinajitahidi kabisa kuona kwamba Brand Kenya, yani Kenya kama taifa inafanya vizuri sana katika mataifa ya kigeni, na mazao na bidhaa ambazo zinatoka taifa la Kenya pia zinaweza kufaidi ulimwengu. Shukrani sana moja kwa moja kutoka eneo hili la Naivasha. Mimi ni Isaac Lemoka.
Wonderful stuff. Asante sana Isaac Lemoka, tunashukuru sana pia maono ya mwanadada wetu pale Brand Kenya, ambayo sasa imebadilisha jina na tumeambiwa hapo inafanya vizuri kuuza nchi yetu mbali sana. Kego, earlier we were talking with you about the financial aspect, the sale aspect of this kind of event that it gives our country, that scope. And you can see there it's been illustrated by the lady John, and she's really done her best to market Kenya. She's well branded, and they've branded Lemoka as well. Yeah. So it's big bucks.
Yes. You know, it's good, and it should be like that they use this event to market Kenya, because you know, let's face it, unless we tell the world why we believe this is the best place in the world, they won't know. So when they are watching us because of Rally, tell them why Kenya is the place to be. And so, well done, you know, the group there. Well done to everybody involved, and keep doing it. Let's keep the safari here, so more and more can be heard about Kenya.
And you see how young the lady is. A lot of young guys. You'd spoken about the change of guard. Yeah. Young guys coming on, and there's a lot of such stalls under the Talanta Hela initiative.
Yeah, very
out there, like we saw last year, and it's awesome. It gives young guys that opportunity to also, as they enjoy the rally, they make money out of it. So it's changed the rallying experience from you just going to spend money, but you get an opportunity also to make money off it.
Very commendable. And all the events all over the world are like this. You know, the country benefits directly and indirectly. You know, the people there benefit directly and indirectly. So Safari, as much as is about the rallying, there's a whole ecosystem around it that we need to sort of take as much as we can from. And the bigger and better it becomes, you know, the better for the country. There's talk of the venue changing. There was some debate last year as to whether the event could be run, because, you know, Kenya is not just Naivasha. You know, we've got Nanyuki, which can run a WRC event easily. We've got Mombasa, can run a WRC event easily. And those are places that have something to offer, even globally. So who knows, maybe next year or the year after, if plans are well made, maybe Safari could move to another region of the country.
Naivasha,
Naivasha, of course, won't like it, but
they do. Yes, they won't like it. I remember the debate.
But this is a cake we can all share. It's a big cake. Let's all share. So Naivasha has had it for 3 years. I would not be averse to Safari going even to the coast. Go down to the coastal region. There's a huge potential down there for farming, for whatever, and showcase it. Make people eyeballs on the product. And,
because these are the same routes of last year.
Of course.
The monotony.
Of course, it's monotonous, but this is rallying today. All rallies globally, the rallies are run on the same routes. They don't change them.
Yes.
Because these are the routes that they rally on.
So shall we be able to change them, say, if another counties are given the chance to do so?
Well, last year the president put in a request for the date to change. You remember Safari was held in June?
Yes, yes.
They made a request that we need the Safari to come back to its usual April date.
Yes.
And that request was done.
Yes.
There's an old saying, I won't say who said it, but they talk about a Mugumo tree being cut with a razor blade. If you put in the request, they might not make it happen immediately, but it's now been considered.
Yes.
And if it's considered, who knows, in 1 or 2 years it can come to fruition.
Yes.
Nanyuki is an amazing part of this country. You could easily rally around the farms there, with the backdrop of Mount Kenya. You could easily rally in Western Kenya, in Iten area. You could easily rally in Voi. And this KNRC actually does events there. So it wouldn't be impossible to do it. The challenge they have usually is they need to count the hotel rooms available. And that's one of the arguments that has gone against Nanyuki, which I don't think holds water, because the greater Nanyuki includes Nyeri. And Nyeri and the little towns around there all have hotels. And Nanyuki has some of the best hotels in this country, places to stay. So I think they have the right amount of rooms to stay around Nanyuki. Mombasa, that argument also doesn't hold water. The whole coast is a hotel. So who knows, the committee that puts the rally together, they could decide next year, let's take it somewhere else, let's mix it up a bit. And why not? It's been done in other countries. They change sometimes the towns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so why not? Here we have a big, beautiful country and lots of space.
Yes.
And lots of things we want to show. So who knows? There has been talk about Nanyuki. I think if it does leave Naivasha in the near future, I would put my money on Nanyuki.
And it would be good for us who are watching to see the drivers experience
in a different
location, not what they are now growing used to.
Exactly.
And like you said, the Soisambu area, that's Carl Tundo's stomping ground. Now take him elsewhere, even though he knows the KNRC circuit pretty well. But I mean, take him and the rest of them elsewhere, and throw them out to the wild and there test them proper.
When we were outside the WRC, we did a safari. I took part in a safari that was centered around Mount Kenya, and they, for that year, decided that they were going to take away the rule of the service park. So it was a throwback to the old safari where you are allowed to service anywhere. So you made plans with your service crew to catch you wherever you are. And that rally ran very successfully. It ran, we ran in there's a farm up there. We ran in Meru, in the KWS forest. We ran in wheat fields, I think is a big wheat farm. And and it ran very well. And so if they decided to put a safari in Nanyuki, there is the space, there is the personnel, there are the hotels, and I think it would be beautiful.
And you mentioned Meru, the Timau area.
Exactly. Timau is where we rallied, actually, in the wheat farms,
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very scenic, very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
And also presents another aspect because it's higher altitude.
Yes.
And these are combustion cars, internal combustion cars. So what does that do with their power? It drops their power because there's less oxygen up there. So maybe that plays a role and maybe plays throws another spanner in the works of the whole rally. So I know there's definitely been some discussion about Nanyuki. Whether it's solid yet, I don't know. But there are people who are saying that, Kenya is big,
Yes.
Let's take it around the country.
And also in terms of branding, it sells our country spectacularly.
Exactly, completely.
People are able to see that what the magical Kenya crew of Daudi Kanja and Topi Liambila have been talking of. They see the beauty, the diversity in the beauty of our country.
Exactly.
And how accommodative it is for such rally events to take place.
We've done a rally in Ahero. Ahero is a fantastic region of this country. The cane fields. I mean, you rally through there, and if you told somebody that was Colombia, they'd believe you, because it's miles and miles of sugarcane, very beautiful. Safari could go there. There are enough hotels in that region.
Yes.
So there needs to be some thinking around where you take this event, because it's a national event. It doesn't belong to one part of the country. Let's take it around the country. Let's mix and match it. Of course, it takes a lot of effort, logistics, but it can be done. A good idea always starts with a thought, yeah. And people have been thinking about Nanyuki. So let's see, maybe in another 2 years, if everybody agrees and it's feasible, cars could go to Nanyuki.
And also now that you mentioned the coastal part of Kenya being a potential venue, and the weather there is now a complete opposite of what we're experiencing in Naivasha. Proper hot.
We have rallied around, even very recently, Ganze. We have rallied around.
That's in Kilifi.
Bamba. First time I went to Bamba, I remember the old song about Bamba. Been to Bamba, we've rallied in Bamba. And so...
Bamba, is it that Safari Bamba?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, Safari Bamba.
In fact, very famously, Safari Bamba talks about a rough road. But the road connecting Bamba, I think now to Malindi has been made. It's tarmac. So the song now is no longer applied. Safari Bamba sio mbaya. It's now the road is Nywe. So, but beyond Bamba, it's a all open country. There are lots of beautiful rally roads there. It would take focus to that region. That region still has a lot of need. And in the south coast around Diani.
That's what I was coming to.
Yeah, around we rallied near the Mwaluganja Elephant Project down there, but that was many years ago. And the roots are there. Mombasa has a very vibrant motorsport club led by one Roy Mackenzie and Falgun. And they hold a very vibrant motorsport championship. They even have an internal club championship, which is, I think they're the most active sort of motorsport club in Kenya. So if you give those guys the work and told them, find us a safari route, I mean, they'd do it within no time. Because I'm sure they already have the routes, they know the routes.
And how much would the climate impact on the event? The drivers, guys come from very cold areas in Europe, and now here you're throwing them into Diani, which is pretty hot.
We rallied there in January 1 year, where the KNRC had sort of, the last event had not been done. Mombasa traditionally is the last event of the year. So for some reason that rally didn't take place. So they held it in early January to compensate for the year before.
Which was proper hot.
It was, being in that car was like, it was like you were being cooked alive.
Yes.
In fact, we would have to ask for some dispensation for them to allow us to rally in shorts and other things, because it was completely like an oven. But people rallied and we finished, and as soon as we got to the service park, people would strip, and they'd give you water to drink, but you'd be pouring it down yourself because it was incredibly hot. So that would come into play also, depending on when they run the event. But
and this clothing of theirs.
Oh yeah, and it's very heavy.
It's very heavy. Yeah, it would be quite a challenge.
There's a rally where we actually got dispensation that we didn't have to come with our suits at the Parc Fermé. Parc Fermé is the rally has started. But I remember in Mombasa 1 year, kudos to Roy Mackenzie, he allowed us to come to the Parc Fermé just in our normal clothes and get kitted up before you rallied, so that at least you aren't hanging around in your suit in that temperature, but when it was rally time, when you got in 10 minutes to get into your car, then you would kit it up completely, and then you were flagged off. Because in that rally suit, 3-layer rally suit, 1-layer rally underwear, you're just losing water, you're losing water.
But the vehicles perform better because...
Oh yeah, low, high oxygen at the sea level. A lot of fun. Mombasa rallying is very nice. We enjoy it. Although we say there, people become superstitious, and you dare not hit even a kifaranga. So they say if you hit a kifaranga yenyewe, you're not going to the end of the rally. So you have to do what you can, whether you are going at 200. If you see a kifaranga on the road, you have to avoid it.
Has anyone ever done so and not finished the rally?
Rallying happens.
I mean, not finish the rally?
Well, I don't know the statistic, but usually when you hit something, you don't finish. You don't finish.
So it's just superstition?
It's superstition, yeah, but also that plays in your mind, yeah? You're thinking that I don't want to hit something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In case this superstition is real.
Yes. So you say the vehicles perform better in that kind of climate.
Yeah.
So we would expect a faster course.
Oh yes.
As opposed to in Timau, for example.
Yes, cars behave better. They are more responsive. It's a bit different. You have to modify your driving slightly a bit, and I can imagine at the top level would be even more so. So it would be interesting. But you know, WRC in Mombasa is still quite a far-off idea.
Yes.
Of course, I'm sure the people down there and the clubs and the fans and basically the industry down there would be very happy to have it.
Why don't you talk to your friends and tell them to put in a proposal
that is
to the relevant authority who can then pick it up from there?
Yeah, the LOC, the local organizing committee, are the ones who can make a decision. I guess the Motorsport Council maybe can also make suggestions. But at the end of the day, you know, Safari is almost an entity by itself. And Safari decides the way they are going. But they take suggestions, they are very open to suggestion. And any suggestion that hopes or endeavors to make this a better thing, and I'm sure is okay.
That's brilliant. Now, no disrespect to navigation. You are a navigator as it is. Have you never thought of driving, becoming a rally driver yourself?
Of course, we say navigators are better drivers than drivers, just that we can't afford to be in the driving seat. You see, when you're rallying in a self-sponsored, the person who buys the car is the one who drives. Unless you have a very magnanimous driver who tells you, I'm buying this car, then you drive. We all want to drive, but if you can't afford it, then this is the second best seat, yeah?
Yes.
If he falls sick, maybe I might be able to drive to the end of the stage.
Yes.
So, of course, we all say navigators that make better drivers than drivers.
Why?
First of all, we understand the notes better, yeah? We understand when I call the note, I understand it better. And maybe, of course, a bit egotistically, maybe we think we are better than the drivers. So maybe one day they should organize a rally where the drivers drive one stage and the navigators another stage. Then we can make that decision as to that argument. Yeah.
But do you think you have what it takes potentially, based on your navigation experience, to be a really, really good driver? Forget about the ego, Kego. Now let's talk realistically.
Maybe 30 years ago, maybe. But right now I'm a mzee, you know. I'm an elder statesman. I've handed over. I'm here to help the transition.
You can do one rally, can't you?
Of course, we might do a rally here and there, but this is the age of the Patels.
Potentially, from the experience you have gained, you want to tell me, Kego, you can't do something spectacular?
Well, I don't know about spectacular, but of course I would jump at the offer if it ever came. But I mean, one must also accept their situation.
Okay.
And motorsport is a young game. It's a young game. It's the Wahomes and the Karans, the Saman Voras. This is their age. These are the guys we need to support. These are the guys we need to nurture.
So that's why guys like Patrick Njiru left the floor.
Oh yeah. Patrick was great for a long time. But when the time comes, you must hand over. You know, life is much like a successful life and successful rallying is much like running a relay. Okay. You know, if there are 4 runners, one runner can't run the whole race. You must come to a point where it's time to hand over. And you handing over, even that handing over it's a very intricate and very, a system that must work.
And what makes one decide, okay, now, generally speaking, because everyone's case is unique, but just generally speaking, you have to generalize it. What would influence you now as a rally driver to say, okay, I feel it's time for me to retire? You know, in other sports, it's easier because you run, you feel, I can't. But in rallying, you sit down, you drive. What really?
It depends. At the professional game, at the top of the game, you know, for us, it's an amateur sport. So our decisions are largely based on financing. Yeah.
Yes.
If it's getting to the point where you're getting diminishing returns and more cost, you're like, you know, really, it's time to. But at the top of the game, I mean, there are people like Sebastian Loeb who are still doing selected events because he's still so good. You know, we have Sebastian Ogier who is still doing selected events because they are so good. And so I guess it's down to you as the individual, you as the team, decide that he's getting to this age, you know, giving him a car for this particular event represents this amount of investment. Are we going to get returns on this investment? Is he going to get returns on this investment? So there are a lot of things to consider.
Oh, so there are external factors
exactly.
that come into.
And when you're 8-time champion, I think OJ is 8-time champion, what then motivates you after that? You know, you are the top of the game. And you're getting older. You know, they say it's good to leave the party when you're on top, yeah? Leave the game when you're on top.
Yes.
Don't be dragged out kicking when you're old and grey.
But Kala is a young guy and he's now doing selective rallies.
Yeah.
What has influenced him at that young age?
I think also that is a bit to do with where the sport is currently. You know, we don't have that many manufacturers. And as much as it's good for Toyota, one mark dominating the sport is not a very good thing. It also demoralizes others. It makes the interest towards the sport slightly less. So maybe Kale decided, you know, his game right now is completely, I think we're in the age of Kale. There's Kale and there's everybody else.
It's his era.
And so, is that good for the sport? I don't know. Is it, if he stays long term in this, he gets to a point where who's going to remove him, you know? Very difficult. So maybe a bit of balance, take it easy 1 year, give guys maybe some time to catch up, and then see. So where the sport is, the interest, investment, are we getting returns on this? All determine as to where guys are, basically.
Okay, and for a navigator, is there like a sort of quote-unquote age cap when you feel, that my body is refusing, or navigators have a longer lifespan than drivers, as it were?
Generally, if you're still fit and in good shape, navigators, I think, can probably navigate longer than drivers can sit. It's at least a little less more physical, a bit more cerebral, a bit more using your mind.
Yes.
So there's a bit less battering to the body.
Yes.
But generally speaking, people exit when they feel the time is right. It's not. I can't say there's a fixed time that you feel that, you know, people leave at 40, 50. People leave. Some guys have navigated into their. I mean, there's the ALS crew. You know, I think they are both in their 70s. You know, and they competitively rally in Kenya in a classic car. You know, Aslam Khan and Ashad Khan. So if it's still working for you, you're still getting something out of it. In fact, we had this conversation with my driver yesterday, Leo, and we were saying, you know, people, especially who are in, it's not professional, amateur sport, we all get something different from rallying. Somebody wants to come number one, others just want to be in that car, others like the camaraderie around it, you know, the razzmatazz around it. So not everybody is getting the same thing out of it. And so you find that those who want to be number one, once they start stopping to be number one, they want to get out of it. Those who like rallying, the camaraderie around it, they can stay even until they are, you know, there's a famous quote of, I think was, who? He was saying that even if it takes him until he's getting in the car with a walking stick, he wants to win the safari, you know? So it just depends on you as an individual, I think.
Earlier, you had noticed that the routes have sort of been changed for this rally, sort of last minute.
Oh, yeah, well, there was a complaint.
How has that affected?
Of course, from the crew's point of view, that is completely out of order. It should not do that. Once we recce the route, we assume that the route should remain the same, unless the stewards provide a bulletin notifying us that the route has changed at page this or that.
Yes.
Now, we saw some of the drivers complaining that it seems the route had changed. I don't know, I don't want to comment as to what or why. It could be any number of things. Like I was saying, so organizing the safari is like, you know, it's one big thing with thousands of moving parts. You know, whether all those moving parts are moving in unison, you know, is anybody's guess. So could have been maybe a marshal made a mistake, could have been the wrong message appeared somewhere. But generally the rule is that the route does not change from recce unless it's bulletined from the stewards. And they usually send a bulletin, and the bulletin is numbered, bulletin 1, 2, 3, whatever, of date, and it's signed. And they usually say, on page this and this of the road book, instead of turning left, turn right. But you can't change the route. It's not the done thing to change the route without issuing a bulletin. Because then the drivers are assuming, for example, if the change in the route was, instead of straight on, it's sharp left, yeah? Drivers know it's straight on, marks. And then I come there and I find a sharp left. Of course, you understand what would happen. So routes are not changed after the recce unless they are bulletined. So maybe there was some, I don't know. Maybe,
so that has impacted this rally?
Of course. The first stage, they seem to have had an issue. Could be any sort of thing. Maybe a tree fell down. Maybe a new hole appeared. And so there were... But even in that case, because the stewards operate 24 hours, stewards can send you a bulletin even at 3 a.m. So I would be surprised, or I would be interested to know what happened there. Was there an oversight? Was there something that was unavoidable? Because also the change of route could be a safety precaution, yeah? Maybe there's a hole that has appeared. Maybe a tree has fallen. Or maybe some other blockage that maybe the marshal on site has decided to try and divert you around. But you, on your notes, you know it was straight. So you approach there fast and you find a corner, which it unsettles you, of course, as a crew. But any change of route, the route can't change even after recce, but they definitely bulletin it. And they bulletin it before you start the event so that you amend your notes, you are aware that here where we are put straight on, we are turning left, then right. We are going around something, let's say. Yeah.
So potentially, could this bring issues?
Well, I think ideally what would happen is the stewards would look at it. If there are complaints, you know, you have to complain.
Yes.
If you are a crew who feels aggrieved, you must write a complaint, official complaint to
yes, those are the issues
stewards.
I'm talking about. Yes.
Now, the stewards can look at it, and if that complaint has been replicated by, let's say, 3 or 4 crew, they can decide to make a decision. And maybe the decision might be, based on what you have said, we deem that you have lost 10 seconds or 20 seconds, we give you back your 20 seconds. So we chop your time in 20 seconds. So the stewards, that's their work. Their work is to make decisions as the event goes on. Generally, a change of route after the recce without a bulletin is a disaster, yeah, because the whole idea of rallying is navigating this course fast, safely, with prior knowledge where you're going. So if they make a change in the route, of course, it's not something anybody would be happy with.
So how soon do you think the drivers were notified of the change of route?
Well, I think we saw that complaint from Nouvelle and from Katsuta. Evans didn't talk about it much. He said there were some rocks in the road. I'm suspecting that maybe what they used to change the direction of the road were rocks, which again is very, it's not the best, you know what I mean? But
it's not compelling enough.
It's not the best, because if you're trying to make a car go left where it was going straight, and you're using rocks, and the guy maybe is too late to see those rocks, what happens? He runs over the rocks and bangs up his car. So I'll wait to hear what the incident was about and what happened. But as soon as the report came from Nouvelle, I'm sure the stewards had sat down, called whoever is relevant. Every stage has what is called, has a hierarchy of officials. There's somebody called stage commander.
Okay.
He's the first person who would have been called by the stewards to ask, what is the issue here? Yeah? Stage commander, maybe that's the first he has heard of it, unless he's watching the video. So he would call his marshal on site at that stage and ask them, what's up? Have you guys, is there any issue? Unless, of course, he's aware and would report to the stewards, we have had to do ABC because this happened. So I'm sure they're on top of it. Even by the time those guys were finishing the loop, either the stones have been removed, either the note has been amended, either people have received their time. Basically, they have made some changes, I'm assuming.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you get to be notified how soon before you go into that stage?
Exactly.
There's changes.
Exactly. Then part of that work of the navigator is to keep your eyes on the grapevine. During the KNRC, we actually have the user, there's an app they use. There's an app they use, and earlier they used to use a WhatsApp group.
Okay.
So what they do, all the navigators and drivers and team managers are on this WhatsApp group. So any bulletin, which ideally is supposed to be mailed out or put on a notice board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, brilliant. I get. Wow. Controversy. Now, as things stand, as we head into the afternoon session of today's rallying, Kala Rovanpera sits at the top. He's top placed. Takamoto Katsuta is second placed. He's doing pretty well. And you've got, you've got Thierry Neuville, who's actually in second place. They've swapped places with Katsuta, who's in third place. Formeau is in fourth place, and then Evans is in fifth place. Elfin Evans. This rallying is just as crazy as it gets. At least last year you could sort of see where it was taking you, but this year the door has been opened wide. What we started with in the morning is totally different from what we have right now, apart from up right there at the top where Kala Rovanpera has clung to top spot. We've been discussing this with Kego. He said that he wanted to see Hyundai, break the Toyota influence. And Hyundai at that time stood pretty much no chance. And then all of a sudden, by lunch break, Hyundai were in second position. So they're looking like they can sort of go against the odds and win this particular rally, snatch it from Toyota's jaws. Well, there's only one way for you to find out if this is going to be the turnout of the rally itself. And the best way to do so, if you're not in Naivasha following events firsthand, is tuning in to KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. We'll take you there. We'll give you every bit of the action that we can manage to give and make sure that you get everything live and exclusively free. See you later on in the afternoon. Keep it Channel 1.